McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop. Episode 14. The Deadliest Spider. September 20th, 1921. Continued. I told Ariana all about magic unusuals. I told her why her blood was feeling funny, how her eyes would start glowing in the dark in the next few days. I told her about the night enthusiasts and what had happened to me. I left out the fake murders, of course. I didn't need her running up, shrieking. The longer I talked, the more silent she became, and I felt sure that she thought I was mad. Soon she'd get up and run away, and that would be the end of it. At least I'd tried. But when I finished, Ariana simply said, quietly, "Why should I believe you?" I stared at her. I took a deep breath. "Well," I said, "look in the bathroom mirror tonight. If your eyes aren't glowing in the dark by the end of the week, then you know I was lying to you." Ariana leaned back with a frown. She wasn't running yet, which I decided was a good sign. I began to grow nervous, and I glanced over my shoulder. No one else was in the park. I couldn't see any night enthusiasts lurking behind trees. But this felt too good to be true. I was waiting for something to come along and ruin it. I always knew I was different. I always wanted to be different. Her eyes looked a little wild, and I felt like I was meeting a wolf or a hyena. She glanced at me. "This is what I've been wanting my whole life. I've been waiting for this. Are there more of you? Is there a community? Or are we alone?" "Well, there are the night enthusiasts," I said. "Yes, you told me about them," she said. "But the good ones, our people. Are there more of us?" "Yes," I said. "I don't know how many. There's Mr. McGillicuddy of McGillicuddy and Murders, and others, but I've never met any of them. Mr. McGillicuddy is waiting until the night enthusiasts leave me alone, or he can find a safe way to include me. Until then, he's keeping me at arm's length." I paused and looked up at the blue of the sky. "You should stay away from me, for a day or two, in case Mr. McGillicuddy finds you. Don't trust anyone wearing all black, especially not if they're wearing a little purple or green." "The night enthusiasts, you mean?" she said. "Yes." "Do you think Mr. McGillicuddy will find me?" "Maybe," I said. I sighed. He didn't find me. "But what about you?" Ariana said. "If I join Mr. McGillicuddy, won't you be all alone?" "Yes." She frowned at me. "But you're not safe with me," I said. "The night enthusiasts want some special magic power that I have. I don't know what the power is yet, but apparently it's good." I felt proud and terrible of this fact all at the same time. "The night enthusiasts won't stop looking for me. If you can join Mr. McGillicuddy, you'll be safe. You'll have a home and a family, and I dare say there are classes and everything to help you understand what you are." "But you'll be alone," Ariana said. "Yes." She tilted her head and looked at me. "Why can't I just stay with you? Right from the beginning?" "Because it's not safe," I said. "You've been fine," she said. "You've been safe, all on your own. Maybe 10 people couldn't hide safely from the night enthusiasts, but I think 2 can, if 1 can. Why couldn't we be a pair?" She took my hands suddenly, impulsively. It was sweet. "You've been terribly lonely, Maude, haven't you? I think Mr. McGillicuddy is a selfish old cow for not letting you join his ranks. I'm sorry, but I do. Maybe, if there were 2 of us, he'd see reason. He'd want to protect both of us, and he'd take the risk. He could ignore you, but he won't be able to ignore the 2 of us as easily. And in the meantime, we can make our own way. We can hide out together. I'd much rather chart things out with another girl my own age, hiding in our own way, instead of meeting with a bunch of stuffy strangers. What if they're all old men with beards?" She laughed. "Honestly, I don't think it's fair that you have to struggle through this alone. Why not do it with a friend?" "I can't ask you to do that," I said. You're not asking me, she said. I'm volunteering. Honestly. Can't you see a volunteer when she's waving under your nose? I'll come and stay with you. You can teach me everything you know. That's not much, I said. And besides, I'm not staying in a real place. I've been camping out secretly in the pawn shop. McGillicuddy and Murders. Ariana's eyes gleamed. Now, see, that sounds interesting. Is it spooky at night? A little, I said. Good, she said. I bet my eyes will be glowing by tonight. I laughed. I doubt it. Mine didn't glow for 4 days. That you know of, Ariana said. We decided she would walk with me to McGillicuddy and Murders, because she couldn't teleport yet. I hoped no one pointed at me along the way and shouted, "Murderer! Murderer!" because I hadn't told Ariana about the fake murders yet, and it would have made things awkward. Ariana got up, and she linked her arm with mine. She looked around with an air of contentment. Sometimes you sit on a park bench because your feet hurt, and when you get up, your life has been utterly transformed. Yes, I said, hopefully for the better. Most definitely, she said. We stopped at her apartment and packed a small bag of her things. I was nervous the entire time, and I felt strange. I kept looking at the tiny porcelain dogs, the books, the lace trim on her tables and thinking, this woman is a refugee, and I've made her one. But Ariana is all brightness and excitement. We took the trolley across town and walked to McGillicuddy and Murders. We've made ourselves a nest on the 3rd floor, behind a clock face that's 7 feet high. I'll try to write again later, but for now, I'm going to talk to my new friend. September 21st, 1921. The eeriest thing happened last night. There was a thunderstorm, and rain shook the roof of McGillicuddy and Murders. Ariana and I sat on a large red couch, beneath the light of a spindly lamp, and we ate caramels. The shadows around us flicked and shivered, and the strange Egyptian statues in the corner seemed to be leaning closer. We were chatting about animals when it happened. Which is deadlier? Ariana asked. A spider or a wasp? A wasp, I said. They hurt more. To a human, Ariana said. I mean on the whole, as a species. Well, still a wasp then, I said. No, she said, shaking her head. It's a spider. Because a wasp is yellow and black and buzzes, and you know it's coming. A web is invisible. All of a sudden, you're lost. At that moment, the power went out. The lamp behind Ariana and I snuffed out, and the entire pawn shop went dark. I looked across at her, and her eyes were glowing like 2 moons, eerie and white in the darkness. I screamed. What? She shouted. Your eyes, I gasped. Your eyes, I'm sorry. They're glowing. Oh, she said, in a curious voice. Are they glowing already? They were. Her transition into a magic unusual was moving so much more quickly than mine. By morning, her eyes would be pure hazel, peculiar with their green rim. She'd be able to teleport. It was so fast. I should have been pleased about it. It could only help us that Ariana was mobile, fully developed. But the haste of her transition struck me as ominous. It felt wrong, eerie, like something had been twisted. I felt like I was sitting across from a ghost. Once again, I was reminded of how eerie the eyes looked, floating alone in the black. I shivered, but I looked the same way. Her transition should have been good, but it felt like a bad sign. It felt rushed, agitated. It felt like the end was coming, soon, and the magic was rushing to help us prepare. We hope you've enjoyed episode 14, The Deadliest Spider, of McGillicuddy and Murders Pawn Shop. McGillicuddy and Murders Pawn Shop is written and performed by Minerva Sweeney Wren. All rights reserved. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, and support Minerva Sweeney Wren at patreon.com/Sweeney Wren. McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop will continue next week with episode 15, Witch Hunt.